If you clicked on this video, you are probably wondering how you can make some changes to your plan without triggering a lot of tax. You're at a point where you're retiring, maybe you're ready to set up your bucket plan, and yet you're looking at things that you've accumulated over all of these years, and there's embedded tax in them. So how do you make some changes? I know that you'll agree with me that the tax code can be very complicated, and the changes over time can be complicated. And so it's important to understand what your options are and think through the things that will work to help you minimize your lifetime tax bill and yet still be able to get things where you want them to be. Now, if you are at retirement and you have a 401k or a 403b, and you want to now move that money to be invested differently than the way it's invested in the 401k, you want to set up your bucket plan. You want to get your distribution set up. You want to do that on a very flexible basis that you're allowed to do under an IRA. What you can do is roll over your 401k to an IRA. You don't pay any tax when it moves from the 401k to the IRA. It's going from one tax deferred account to another tax deferred account, and there's no tax due at that time. You will pay tax when you take the money out of that IRA to spend it. But if you are at the point of retirement and going to move your 401k money, I want you to double check. Do you have any company stock in that 401k? Because if you do, you may be able to take advantage of what's called net unrealized appreciation. If you have company stock in the plan, you work for the company, and it's that company's stock that's in the plan, then after you retire, as your first full distribution of all the money out of your 401k, you can move the company stock to a taxable brokerage account. And this makes sense if your cost basis for that company stock is very low. I just recently saw one where a cost basis for the company stock was about $4,000 and it was worth about $45,000. So moving that company stock from the plan to the taxable brokerage account, they're going to pay tax on the cost basis, that $4,000. The gain, which is over $40,000, will be taxed when they sell the stock, and it'll be taxed at long-term capital gains rates, which are more preferential. They're lower than your ordinary income tax rates. So if they had moved the company stock or had it liquidated and moved the cash to the IRA, they would pay tax on all of that money at ordinary income tax rates. So they would pay another 10% in tax on those dollars. It makes a lot of sense to use net unrealized appreciation when you have a low cost basis so that you can minimize the tax on the gain. Other things that you can do, let's say that you had bought a life insurance policy a long time ago and you needed that death benefit and it's got some cash value built up, but now you don't need the death benefit because you're retiring. You have no debt. You have accumulated, $3 or $4 million of assets, $5 million, $6 million. You've got no heirs, no children that are relying on you. Everybody's gone through college, so you don't really need the life insurance itself. If you cash out that policy, you're going to pay income tax on the growth in the cash value. But what could you do? You could move that cash value into a different kind of contract and still defer the tax that hasn't been paid. You could do what's called a 1035 exchange. Move that cash value into maybe an annuity that's going to pay income, and that would spread that tax out over the period of time that income's being paid. Or maybe move it into a policy that has long-term care benefits. And then if you later use it for long-term care benefits, you may even get those benefits coming out of the policy tax-free during your lifetime. So it's worth looking at that before you just cash out a policy. Another thing that you could have is real estate. Maybe over the years, you have kept some of the houses that you had bought as you've moved up and you rented them out, and now you don't really want to be a landlord anymore. And you're wondering, what is the tax I'm going to pay on these properties? Because I bought them a long time ago. The cost basis is very low. yeah, I've put some money into it, but I've also depreciated it because it's been rented out. And so you're looking at this tax cost and wondering, well, do I just need to keep renting it out, or what could you do? Well, you can exchange the property. It's not your homestead, so it's investment property, and you can use what is called a 1031 exchange to trade that for other real estate, or you could trade it into a Delaware statutory trust where it goes into a bucket of real estate that's being managed, and then you're getting the rental income from that. So there are some ways to make some shifts where you're not triggering a lot of tax at the point in time that you're doing it, but you're moving money from where it is, where it has served you well in a different period of time in your life, moving it to new investments to serve you in this period of time. If you're in that situation, it helps to talk with a financial advisor, someone that can look at your situation and help you think through all the issues, the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that you should think about before you make a decision. And so if you don't have a financial advisor, feel free to shoot me an email. And with that, I hope you stay on your best path in retirement.